watched it, I was like, what the hell did I just watch? And it's not fair to say, like, because I watched it a ton and also researched it and loved it more because of that. But there was still stuff there. Like, I don't like it just because I learned about it, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. But it's like there are wonderful moments in that movie throughout, and it just like sort of deepened my appreciation for that. Whereas with like The Shallows, I liked it straight away for a lot of different reasons. And then as I sort of researched into it and really, really thought about it, because sometimes you just watch a movie and then you like go about your merry way. And so like kind of researching it for different projects is a different experience. And then kind of really thinking about it, thinking about the colors, thinking about the silence, thinking about Nancy, Final Girls, all these things just made me love it that much more. And so now when I watch it, like those layers are there. But like I don't feel this like vehement need to defend it the way that I apparently do with Deep Blue Sea, where Deep Blue Sea 2 rather, and Deep Blue Sea. But I feel like a lot of people have come over to the other side because at the beginning, I think a lot of people didn't appreciate Deep Blue Sea as a great movie, which is
Deep Blue Sea features one of the greatest surprise kills of all time. It's so much fun. The scene with Jim Whitlock is amazing. Oh my gosh, the production value, but it sucks. Like that's what people say. You're like, no,
yeah.
Stop.
People really don't want to like let themselves like stuff. Like even with The Shallows, like I know we were like, I can't believe you call this a campy B movie, but I feel like there only, to be fair, only a couple reviews that I had read referenced that, and they just kind of felt like they were phoning it in. Because that's always kind of my argument with that. Like when something is called a campy B movie, it's just because it's a shark movie. They don't believe it could be like a great movie, which to me is baffling. Like because creature features are such a wonderful genre of film, and so it's like they almost need to couch it in this like campy B movie so they can like defend liking it. Like maybe I'm reaching with that, but that's how it feels to me. Like they can't just like The Shallows and be like, I love this movie, it's one of my favorite movies, or like I loved Deep Blue Sea or Jaws or whatever it would may be. I always fight with another podcast person of yours, Kevin, who does the shark ranking. He's watching all the shark movies.
Yeah.
He loves Blue Demon, and I'm still on the record of that being the worst shark movie in the history of the world. And him and I fight about that on Twitter.
I've got his list in front of me. The Shallows is number 12 for him. He's got
so low.
He's got 47 meters down, one above it. He's got the Meg at number 4.
The Meg is higher. The Meg is higher. What is Kevin thinking?
The Meg is higher than almost all of the films on it. He's got his top 4: Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, fine so far.
Yeah.
Then Santa Jaws, which will be on a future episode of the show, don't you worry. And then The Meg, which every other shark movie is below that, and that seems just
this
wrong.
is official declaration to Kevin that we are all fighting with him. And...
Kevin, you're welcome back on the show anytime.
Yeah.
We will fight you in person.
Be darned.
But it's true. Yeah, I agree. Like this, there's always, I know I had started out my blog project as finding out what the next sort of ranking shark movies on a linear scale. And now I fundamentally believe that, you can't do that because people have different tastes and things. But like, if we are even within that parameter and outside of it, it's hard to make a case that The Shallows and Deep Blue Sea aren't up there as 2 and 3, and depending on which way you want to put them, right after Jaws.
I mean, there are some days I'd put Deep Blue Sea 1. So I've said to Mark before, the first time Mark and I talked about Deep Blue Sea, Jaws is a better film than Deep Blue Sea, but I would rather watch Deep Blue Sea almost any day of the week. It's more. That
was the list.
It's certainly the one I've seen
Deep
the
Blue Sea and
most.
Shallows would be 1 and 2. You're right.
I don't know. Every time I watch Jaws at least once a year, and every time I go back to it, I just fall in love with it more. It just love it. Like it is so phenomenal, and I certainly feel that way about Deep Blue Sea. I don't know, like you want to put Deep Blue Sea 1, do it, go at it. But I think the top 3 are this one. Like I know people talk about The Reef, Bait, all of those ones, but they certainly fall well below much because there's a lot that you can pick apart. And for me, I mean, we could pick apart a lot with Deep Blue Sea, but at the end, it doesn't matter.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like we talked a little bit about like why is it so religious and there's no real reason to it. It doesn't make sense and some things are happening. I don't think that you can pick apart The Shallows in that way. Like there's really not. I haven't read anything and I haven't really heard anything. I'd be interested to see if people respond with different things. But to me, there's not too much to pull apart other than like, does a chain sink that fast?
Well, I think part of that is there's just there's less to The Shallows. It is a much more straightforward, streamlined story of just this one character in this one location trying to survive. And there's far fewer characters and deaths and events and everything, which is, as Mark said at the start of the show, it's 86 minutes long. And that's when I put that in and I put it in the DVD player and start going, it's like 86 minutes. Like, perfect. Like,
yeah.
we get in, we have the film, we get out. There's no extra stuff at the start or the end. It's great. I like longer films. I like living in. I love all of the Lord of the Rings films. I enjoy most of the Hobbit films. I like living in that wild world for hours and hours and hours. But you give me an 80-minute film that's as straightforward, to the point, and is great.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dream.
I don't think I could stand even if he carried on this level, because like Jaws is 2 hours long, but you get breath in that movie. This movie from the get-go, I would say, like, you know, they start out, you know, that camera washes ashore, you see that horrifying shark come on screen, like you're in it, and then it goes to its break. But still, like from the start and to the finish, you are in this movie. And even if he had carried on that pace for even an extra 10 minutes, like, I don't know if I could have taken that. Like, this movie is scary as hell during parts of it. It's super tense. Like, for me personally, like, I don't think I would have made it. It wouldn't have been as enjoyable if it was longer. And so the fact that, yeah, when I first queued up this movie, I was really scared to watch it. I'm always scared to watch a shark movie. You never know. But when I only saw it was 86 minutes, I was like, you could do it. You could make it.
I could cover my eyes for that amount of time.
I could do it. Yeah, even if it's super scary, I can make it. And so now I still, Mark, you were talking about still holding that fear when you watch even though I know the dolphins are a jump scare, even I know, like, you know, I'm not even really going to see the shark for like a long time. It still gives me this panic every time I watch it, which I guess is a sign that it's done its job.
Oh.
But
the dolphins are the true villains of the film. They lead her towards the whale.
Yeah, dolphins. People don't talk enough about dolphins being actually quite evil.
Absolutely,
and so, yeah. You know. But
I mean, we provoked them. We swim with them too much. They're done with us. They're trying to enact their revenge. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would believe it if someone made a dolphin movie where they're evil. I would be on board. I would believe that so hard. Within that, I'm really.
She fell for that.
I know.
Let's see who else we can get.
Yeah. So gross. I am glad that they didn't make sequels to this movie. Like, I know, what were those terrible? I'm gonna forget the names of them. They're like a bunch of movies that are basically total rips of this movie. But I'm glad that they weren't like make a Shallows 2. Because there is a 47 meters down too, but it is a totally different film.
I love it.
I love it too.
Sharks.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to do a sequel where it's like a total new cast. Like we said with Deep Blue Sea 2, they were kind of forced into it for different reasons, but it's like a better way to do a sequel. But I'm glad that this one didn't even attempt it, and it just gets to live on its own as this like wonderful shark movie, which is super rare. Like, I'm trying to think of good movies we've had lately, even bad movies, they still tend to get sequels. And this one is kind of one of the few of it living on its own, I guess Bait and stuff, but it's great.
Yeah. I mean, what would they do for a sequel? I don't actually, let's not discuss it. We don't want it. It's fine. We're good.
Yeah.
Less shallow.
Yeah, less shallow. Deep Shallows? I don't know. I don't know, put another person in it, just recreate the whole thing.
See, I do feel like this could be a sequel to Deep Blue Sea. Given the intelligence of the shark, it seems like quite a smart, vindictive shark, like dragging the whale carcass along to. Is it dragging it nearer the shore so that it's like close enough she might try and swim to the shore and then it'll eat her?
I thought he was dragging her away. That was super creepy when she was like, "Where are you taking me?" I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, and even just the fortitude of her to like jump off that thing and swim. Like, I don't want people to look too deep into some of these parts of it because I'm pretty sure you can't outswim a shark. But like, some of the moves that she makes just for survival are quite a feat.
But at least she's thinking that when she makes her plans, she's thinking she can't outswim a shark. She's timing it. She's working out the distance herself. And I don't think at any point in this she does go head to head with a shark and win. She's like always at some kind of an advantage, be it jellyfish or distance or whatever.
Or super fast sinking chain.
Yes, exactly.
Super fast sinking chain?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do love that the director said they made the shark only 21 feet instead of 25, and he was like, it's close enough. And I feel like I sort of wrote about how, like, to me that encapsulates this movie. Like, the director really wasn't concerned about making a shark movie or about following in Jaws. Like, he wasn't concerned with any of the lore or the history or anything with shark movies. He was like, I'm just going to make my movie and it's going to be great. And that, I wish that sort of vibe was taken a little bit more. Like, I feel like people feel so indebted to Jaws, which for sure, or Deep Blue Sea, but then because of that, they end up making these kind of like facsimile movies, or like, you know, shoehorning in jokes, or always having the license plate or whatever, and it's just tiresome. And so I like that this guy just like had his vision and executed, and it's wonderful. It's a great time. Everyone should watch this movie. No notes. Again, no notes.
Agreed.
Simple isn't easy. A lot of people, you're like, oh, just make a simple movie. I mean, you look at Alien, and I don't care, I'm just going to say it, Shallows, and movies like that, where it's people on a ship are killed by an alien. You can explain it really easily to people, but it's really hard to make something so simple so good. Otherwise, we'd have so many classics. So I think I need to appreciate movies like this.
Well, and it's funny to me, like, you even there, you sort of said it where you were like, I'm just gonna say it, The Shallows. Like, so this director talked about modeling this survivalist movie after 127 Hours and Gravity. Both of those movies are so revered, right? Oscar nominations up the wazoo, all of these different awards, so much prestige for them. The Shallows, I would say, is on par with that. Like, I know that he was inspired by, but it's like, it is on par with that with a lot of things. We talked about the direction being beautiful. The costumes are great, but it's, you know, they're nothing that are going to get a lot of attention. The music is really fantastic. You know, the Beltrami was nominated for the Hurt Locker and other things. But to me, if it's because it's a shark movie, therefore people are ignoring it. Like, why didn't this movie get more attention? Like, I know it made a lot of money, but like outside of that, I don't really think it got a lot of other accolades, which is surprising. Like, our last sort of like, well, I guess there's Shape of Water, but like, you know, I'm just wondering if it's like because it's a shark movie, we don't get that other layer of prestige with it, which to me, this is like an art house shark movie.
And it had a June release, which you'd rarely get Oscar buzz for. It's like in that summer blockbuster season.
Like the Oscars can be garbage, let's be real. But like,
absolutely, yes.
You know, it's just funny that there wasn't anything else to this, like, and for such a great movie, you know, like, people liked 127 Hours more, which is, you know, how many ever movie minutes of James Franco. We don't need that in our lives, you know. So
yeah.
That arm scene was gross. So.
Yes, it was. I speaking of listening to things, I cannot listen to that scene. It's it's awful. No, thank you.
No, it's really gross.
Ugh. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, we're all just sitting in the arm scene.
It's like a twang. I don't know. Ugh.
Yeah.
And the nerve scene when it played. Oh gosh. Sorry.
Do you think when, well, I'll shift the conversation. We don't need to talk about arms anymore. Do you think when Nancy went home and she survived this horrific ordeal, you know, people probably knew she was attacked by a shark, blah, blah, blah. Do you think when people are like, how are you? She like sits them down and tells this whole story because it's more than just she was attacked by a shark? Or do you think she's like totally chill about it and it's just like, yeah, I'm fine? Like, what tact would you take if you were her and people are like asking you about what happened?
I mean, no one's going to believe it. Because, yes, this vindictive shark circled my thing, even though it had tons of food around it. And I sewed my leg shut. I had a seagull friend. I managed to sew my leg. There were jellyfish that saved my life. And then I said a one-liner. I shot fire at it with a flare. And then I used a very heavy chain. Don't get into this. It worked. To drag me to the bottom where the shark impaled itself on rebar. Like, that's... You can't explain that to people. So like, hey, so what happened? I was surfing, I got bit by a shark, and I just dragged myself to shore. Like, no one's gonna believe that story.
I would definitely be the former. I would be like, no, this is, you know, you're forcibly telling people. They need to know what happened, and so.
Well, I mean, when she's got the scar, she probably maybe got some kind of copy of that video she recorded. It's evidence. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's evidence.
I mean, I think people are gonna believe it, but I'm just saying, like, the flares and the jellyfish and the seagull, like, that's.
Maybe the jellyfish thing might leave a scar. I don't know. It looks pretty bad. But the day that the Shallow